All right, so first we are looking at some rehab, prehab of the knee. Okay, for those of us with banged up knees, lots of us jumpers, you can think the knee is kind of in the middle. If it's banged up, it's normally has something to do with either the ankle or the hip, or for some of us, both. So we're going to look at some drills to hopefully correct some of what's going on at both the hip and the ankle, and that should transfer to our knees feeling a little bit better. All right, first drill for the hips. Okay, this is the 90-90 hip lift. We've done this a little bit while we're together. All right, so you're gonna lie on your backs, foam roller or yoga block between your legs. All right, my hips are at 90, my knees are at 90, my feet are up on the wall. Super important that I grip into the wall with my toes and my heels. My heels don't come off the wall. Okay, so I'm gonna squeeze into the roller. I'm gonna lift my hips just like an inch off the floor. Okay, and then take some big deep breaths. Okay, a lot of us get into this kind of extended position with the backs, right? Our lower back gets arched and locked up, okay, and that can really influence what happens at the hip. So we're trying to get into proper kind of like a pelvic alignment, okay? So we're tilting it up, bottom abs are nice and tight, using our breath, okay, to keep those muscles engaged as we lift up and hold. The next part of that is lifting the arms, okay, reaching up into the sky, straight up as high as you can. Everything else stays the same. Make sure the feet are gripping into the wall, squeezing into the foam roller. Okay, and big deep breaths. All right, next we're doing the same drill, but now you're going to use a mini band around the outside of your legs. So I like to do it just above my knees, and then I set up the same way, hips at 90, knees at 90 degrees, feet into the wall, really gripping in. Okay, now instead of squeezing into the roller, I've got to push out on the band. So you can think, again, we're talking about the hip and how the hip can lead to some knee issues. So first we're working on the inside muscles of the hip, okay, that we need for squeezing, and now the external rotators of the hip, so which are activated while we're pushing out on the band. Okay, other than that, everything else is the exact same. Right, hips, I'm just a little bit off the floor. Okay, and big deep breaths to get those bottom ab muscles nice and tight. Then that reach up into the sky with your hands, holding, breathing, and then you can reset and do it again. Okay, so for this one, again, we're trying to get that internal rotation, so the inside muscles of the hip going. Super important for the jumping athletes. So hard to tell here, but I have my hips at 90 again, my knees at 90, and they're up on the wall. Both feet are up a little bit, so bottom leg, 6 inches off the wall, and then my top leg another foot above that, and I'm just going to slide it back just a little bit so they're not one on top of the other. Okay, what I'm trying to do here is, it's a small motion, but pull my hip backwards. Almost think like my femur, the edge of my femur. I'm trying to drive it back as my stomach stays tight and while really squeezing into the foam roller. Just getting comfortable sliding back and forth, taking big deep breaths as I squeeze into the roller. Super important. All right, so that's it for the hip. Let's move on and do some stuff for the ankle. All right, I think a lot of us as jumping athletes have some pretty beat up ankles. Okay, so we need some control over that. This first one, it might not look like much. You just need something under your foot that will slide a little bit. I'm just using a TheraBand folded over onto itself. You could probably use a cloth, maybe even on the gym floor. Your socks on the wood floor would be fine. Okay, right, you're standing. Okay, and all you're trying to do is curl your toes under while driving your heel into the floor. You're basically trying to make the arch of your foot as big as you can. Okay, you should feel some activation in both the front and back side of the leg. Okay, so you're just going to, again, curl the toes under while driving your heel into the floor and holding that. You might get a bit of a cramp in the bottom of your foot, and that's kind of expected. Then you release, flatten your arch, and do it again. Curling your toes under while pushing your heel down. Okay, again, doesn't look like much, but super important for control of the ankle is having control over the arch of the foot. All right, from there, sitting down, same thing. First thing you're going to do is try to slide your knee as far forward as we can. Okay, a lot of us with beat up knees, okay, we don't have a lot of ankle dorsiflexion. That's that, how far can I slide my knee over my toes. So we're going to get into that position as much as we can and then practice that toe curl, okay, while still driving your heel down, curling your toes under, strong through the arch. You should feel a lot in the front of your shin on this one. Okay, hold it for a few, let go, and do it again. Curling the toes, driving the heel down into the floor.